My husband Dennis and I embarked on a 400-mile journey to Babysit free of charge, allowing our son to enjoy his anniversary trip. Upon our arrival, our daughter-in-law greeted us with a cold demeanor, instructing us to sleep in the garage. "Please refrain from touching anything upstairs," she said, lacking warmth or gratitude. We found ourselves eating leftovers out of plastic bowls next to the water heater, and when I requested a blanket, she simply laughed and replied, "Figure it out." On the day of their return, she referred to us as merely the help. Disheartened, I began packing my belongings. I am Mary Ann, 64 years old, and my husband Dennis is 66. We reside in rural Missouri in a quaint blue house with a garden, a bird feeder, and a porch swing that creaks in the wind. After retiring, my career in nursing and his in electrical work, life slowed down, yet we remain active by volunteering and assisting others whenever possible. Our only child, Tyler, now 38, works in finance in Colorado Springs. As a child, he was compassionate, often bringing home stray animals and helping neighbors with chores. We instilled in him the importance of kindness, especially towards family. Tyler married Brittany 6 years ago. At 35, she is intelligent, career-oriented, and always impeccably dressed, yet she exudes a chilling distance. Initially, her demeanor was not cruel but rather detached, as if she had no desire to form close connections. She displayed polite behavior during family gatherings, but her smiles never reached her eyes. Interacting with her often felt like navigating a minefield, even when I was offering assistance. They have 2 children, Liam and Ellie, who are the center of our world. Although we don't see them frequently due to the distance, we strive to maintain our connection through calls and gifts. 3 weeks prior, Tyler reached out with exciting news about an upcoming anniversary trip to Napa Valley, which he wanted to surprise Brittany with. "Can you and Dad come out to watch the kids?" he asked, expressing his enthusiasm like a teenager. Without hesitation, we agreed, eager to help. I prepared for the trip by making a checklist, baking banana bread, and packing puzzles and coloring books. I even brought along a DVD player for movie nights, while Dennis packed tools for any repairs that might be needed. The journey took nearly 8 hours, including a stop for gas and coffee. We arrived at their home around 5 p.m., but the welcome we received was far from warm. Brittany opened the door without a smile or a greeting, merely acknowledging us with, "Oh, you're early. We're still packing." While not outright rude, her tone was icy, as if we were merely an inconvenience. Tyler eventually emerged, appearing weary but offered a hug, and expressed his gratitude for our visit. When he inquired about our sleeping arrangements, Brittany coldly stated, "We set up the garage. Please don't go upstairs. I don't want the house in disarray when we return." Initially, I thought it was a joke, but it quickly became clear it was not. As we entered the garage, my heart sank. It was sparsely furnished with a cot placed awkwardly near the water heater, a folding chair draped with a blanket, and 2 plastic bins occupying the corner. The single pillow was thin and lumpy, with no proper bedding, heating, or light, except for a bare bulb overhead. When I asked Brittany for an extra blanket, she merely smirked and said, "Figure it out," before turning away to return to the house. I felt paralyzed by shock, but Dennis placed a hand on my back, whispering, "Let's just do it for the kids." That evening, we dined in the garage, eating cold leftovers she had left in the fridge, accompanied by a note stating, "Dinner's done. Use the plastic bowls. Nothing warm." Our meal consisted of reheated spaghetti and steamed broccoli, consumed in silence at the workbench, the garage filled with the musty odor of old tires. The door rattled with each gust of wind, adding to the discomfort. The next morning, I awoke, stiff and sore, unable to find comfort on the cot. My back ached, and Dennis complained of a crick in his neck. However, the children's presence brightened my spirits. Liam rushed to hug my legs, and Ellie leaped into my arms, eager to hear the silly bear story I had promised. We spent joyful moments reading, playing, and making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches while watching cartoons. These interactions reminded me of the purpose of our visit. However, Brittany's strict rules loomed over us. She texted daily with instructions: no juice before lunch, no screen time until 4 p.m., and Ellie doesn't like carrots. Don't push them. Throughout this time, she never once inquired about our well-being or if we were comfortable. On the third night, as temperatures dipped into the 30s, I asked Tyler if they had an extra space heater. He looked guilty, suggesting there might be one in the attic. Brittany overheard and coldly replied, "There's a code in the closet. Use that if you're cold. We don't want the kids touching wires." Dennis remained silent, casting his gaze downward. I could sense his frustration, but knew he wouldn't confront our son during this time of need. So, we endured the cold, spending 4 nights in similar conditions, eating cold leftovers and sneaking into the house for showers in the early morning before the kids woke up. We never sat on the couch or turned on the television. It felt as though we were not allowed to exist outside the confines of the garage. Finally, the day of their return arrived. The kids ran to the door, excitement evident in their voices as they called out for their parents. We stood aside, smiling, but Brittany knelt down, embraced the children, and asked, "Did you behave for the helpers?" Tyler interjected, "Mom, it's Grandma and Grandpa." Brittany dismissed him, insisting she didn't want to confuse the children. They had been told that help was staying in the garage. I stood there, feeling invisible. Once again, Dennis placed his hand on my back, but this time I pulled away, resolute. "I'm going to start packing," I announced. I returned to the garage, gathered our bags, and then proceeded to collect items from the house. I took the handmade photo album I had dedicated a year to creating, the family quilt I had made for Ellie at her birth, and the slow cooker we gifted them for their wedding. Dennis retrieved the toolbox he had given Tyler when he purchased the house, a premium set with his name engraved on it, still unopened in the garage. We took everything we had ever given them, every item infused with our love. Before leaving, I quietly told Tyler, "We love you, but we are not just help. We are your family, and we deserve better." We departed, and since then, he hasn't reached out. Not through a call, text, or email. It has been nearly 2 weeks since we left Colorado Springs, and there has been no word from him. The silence was deafening. I kept checking my phone, foolishly hoping that Tyler would reach out, perhaps to inquire about our safe return home, to express regret, or to offer some explanation. But there was nothing, just an empty void. Dennis, too, remained quiet, though I could sense the turmoil beneath his calm exterior. He began to fixate on minor repairs around the house, repainting the mailbox and regrouting the kitchen tiles, a telltale sign of his frustration, not with me, but with the entire situation. On the 13th day of radio silence, my sister called. She had a connection with one of Brittany's aunts on Facebook. "You better sit down," she warned me. Brittany had posted a lengthy message online, brimming with feigned smiles and fabrications. She expressed immense gratitude for her amazing parents who had helped them escape for their anniversary, praising the additional hands that made the week seamless for the children. "We're so lucky to have such a supportive family," she wrote. Supportive family? I felt a rush of anger as I read those words. She had made us sleep next to a water heater, fed us cold leftovers, and told her children we were merely hired help. My hands trembled as I read the post repeatedly, but it was the comments that cut the deepest. "You're so lucky to have parents like that. Hope they spoiled the kids. That's what love looks like." Dennis stood behind me, reading over my shoulder without a word. After a moment he turned and walked into the garage. A few minutes later he returned with an old notebook, one of those yellow legal pads he uses for wiring diagrams and home projects. Opening it, he revealed a meticulous list of every gift, favor, and repair he had ever provided for Tyler's home, all written in his neat handwriting. There were entries detailing the hours spent installing ceiling fans, purchasing parts, building deck railings following city regulations, replacing the water heater at his own expense, rewiring garage lights, fixing a leaking dishwasher, and relocating the washer and dryer to the upstairs laundry. As I glanced at the total at the bottom, I was shocked to see it amounted to nearly $9,000 worth of repairs and items over 6 years. This didn't even account for my contributions. The nursery furniture we bought when they were struggling financially, the hand-stitched baby blankets, the homemade birthday party decorations each year, the grocery gift cards, and the holiday dinners I hosted to give them a much-needed break. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. We had been taken advantage of, not just during that recent trip, but for years. I was done staying silent. That night, I made my own list, and then composed a letter, not to Brittany, but to Tyler. My message was clear. Tyler, you are our son, and we will always love you, but we are not blind to what has transpired. We have been supporting you and your family for years with time, money, labor, and love. Not once have we asked for anything in return, nor have we thrown it in your face. Until now. We drove 400 miles to help you. We stayed in your garage without complaint, endured the cold, and went hungry. We respected your home because your wife made us feel like strangers. We refrained from arguing to avoid hurting you, but when Brittany told your children we were merely the help and you remained silent, something inside me broke. We're not angry anymore. We're just done. If you want a relationship with us, you'll have to come find it. We're not knocking again. I printed the letter and mailed it with tracking. I knew they received it, as I received a USPS notification confirming delivery. Yet, there was still no response. A few days later, Dennis received an unexpected call. But it wasn't from Tyler. It was from Tyler's boss. Apparently, Dennis had done some electrical work in their home office a year prior, wiring new outlets for Tyler's work-from-home setup. True to form, he had done it for free. Now the boss was calling because something had come up in conversation. Tyler had boasted about how much he had spent upgrading the home office, acting as if he had hired a professional and paid a premium for the work. The boss sought Dennis's name for future referrals. Dennis, without hesitation, shared the truth. I did it for free. He's my son. A long silence followed on the other end of the line before the boss replied, I see. A day later, Tyler finally called. I answered, maintaining my composure. Hey, Mom. Hey, Tyler. He was quiet for a moment before asking, Did you really take the crock pot? I took everything I gave you, I replied. Another pause ensued. I didn't know Brittany said those things about the garage and the kids. You were standing right there, I reminded him. She didn't mean it like that, he insisted, but I saw through the excuse. Don't lie to me. A lengthy pause followed. Dad told my boss about the wiring. He told the truth. I could get in trouble. Mom, you don't understand what kind of position I'm in. Now, my anger flared again. No, Tyler, you don't understand. You allowed your wife to treat us like trash. You let your kids believe we were strangers. Do you want to talk about positions? Try sleeping in a garage after driving 8 hours to help you. With that, I hung up. Dennis, holding a mug of coffee, stood nearby. Anything? He asked. I shook my head. He's still choosing her. Dennis nodded. Let him. I wanted to believe this would be the end of it, but it wasn't. 2 days later, we received an envelope containing a letter from Brittany. No greeting, no apology, just more of the same. Just if you wanted to burn this bridge, you've done it. Don't expect to see the kids again until you learn some respect. Those words from Brittany's letter echoed in my mind as I sat there staring at the paper, my hands trembling. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. After reading her message, I didn't cry. Rather, I felt a chilling emptiness. She had drawn a definitive line in ink, and for the first time in my life, I believed her. Dennis read the letter over my shoulder but remained silent for a long time. Eventually, he went outside, dismantled the lawnmower, cleaned every blade, reassembled it, and mowed the yard in straight, furious rows until the sun dipped below the horizon. That was his way of coping with heartache, fixing what he could control. Meanwhile, I remained at the kitchen table, the letter still clutched, in my hands, wrestling with the harsh reality of how our family had devolved into this painful rift. We had given them everything. In the following week, I boxed up the remaining photos of Tyler and his family, not to discard them, but to remove them from sight. I didn't want to see that Christmas photo anymore, the one where Brittany forced a smile in front of our tree. I couldn't bear to remember how Ellie had called me Mimi for the first time, and how proud that had made me. All those memories now felt like daggers piercing my heart. I expected things to quiet down after that, but my phone rang once more. This time, it was someone I never anticipated, Tyler's ex-girlfriend, Monica. They had dated in college, and I always thought she was a sweet girl. Though we barely spoke and exchanged Christmas cards occasionally, she reached out saying, "Hi, Mrs. R. Sorry, Marianne. I saw something I thought you should know." She informed me that a mutual acquaintance of hers and Brittany's had shared a post from a local moms group online. The thread was private, but someone had taken screenshots and circulated them. Brittany had posted a long, bitter account filled with distortions and untruths, painting us as the villains. She claimed that her in-laws had come uninvited, slept in the garage despite offering them a guest room, constantly complained, took back gifts, and caused drama with the kids. Now they're trying to turn our son against us. Please tell me I'm not crazy for cutting them off. I was stunned. She had transformed us into the antagonists. But the twist came when an old neighbor from their time in Aurora chimed in, recalling how we had built their deck for free and babysat during their marketing conferences. This doesn't add up, they said, prompting others to join in, questioning Brittany's narrative and asking for proof. Some of Brittany's own friends seemed confused. A few even messaged me privately. One remarked, "I didn't realize you were the same Mimi Brittany always posted about. You seemed so close. What happened?" I didn't respond immediately, but the interaction sparked an idea. I retrieved a binder from our hall closet, filled with every card Liam and Ellie had drawn for us, every thank you note, and each scribbled, "Love you, Mimi and Pop." I scanned the notes and also gathered hundreds of photos. Me holding Ellie after her first recital, Dennis teaching Liam how to fish, birthday parties and sleepovers. I posted a simple message on my Facebook page. "We may not be welcome anymore, but we will always remember the love we gave and the time we spent." These moments were real. They meant everything to us. For anyone who heard a different story, here's the truth. I shared 20 years of love, encapsulated in photos and letters, without tagging anyone or naming names, but it was clear who the post referenced. Within hours, my post gained traction, receiving messages from Tyler's high school friends, Brittany's former co-workers, and even a neighbor who remembered Dennis fixing their broken heater during a snowstorm. They all echoed the same sentiment. "This doesn't sound like the people Brittany described. You don't deserve this. What can we do?" That same night, around 10 p.m., as Dennis and I were preparing for bed, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Tyler. "You need to take down that post. Brittany is losing it." Dennis didn't reply. He simply looked at me. I replied, "Let them lose it." Tyler texted again. "She's threatening to leave me if I don't cut ties with you." I stared at the screen for a long moment before taking Dennis's phone and typing back, "That's your decision, but we won't be shamed for telling the truth." He read my response but didn't argue. We turned off the lights, leaving the tension lingering in the air. The following morning brought an unexpected surprise. Our doorbell rang. Standing on The porch was Cheryl, Brittany's mother. I opened the door, taken aback by her presence. We hadn't seen her since Tyler's wedding. She had always been quiet and reserved, but now her jaw was tight, her lips pressed together as if she were trying to contain something. "Can I come in?" she asked, glancing at Dennis, who was watching from the kitchen. I nodded. "Sure." We settled at the table. I poured her a cup of coffee, but she didn't touch it. "I saw your post," she said, looking down at her, hands picking at her nails. "And Brittany's." I waited for her to continue. "I'm not surprised," she finally admitted about Brittany. "But I am sorry for how you were treated and what my daughter has become." I was at a loss for words. Cheryl continued, "She's always been controlling. It's what her father and I used to fight about. I left when she was 13. Her father gave her everything. No rules, no boundaries. When she met Tyler, nice, polite, gentle Tyler, I knew she'd eat him alive." I swallowed hard as she shared her thoughts. "She told me not to talk to you. Said you were trying to turn the family against her. Said you poisoned the kids." Cheryl paused, then added, "But I know her, and I believe you. I saw the photos, the letters. I remember those quilts. You made one for Brittany too, didn't you?" I nodded. "Our first Christmas together. She folded it and put it in a donations box the next spring." Cheryl flinched, and we sat in silence for a while before she said something I never expected. "I want to help you with the kids." My heart raced. "She's banning you from seeing them. But I still have court-approved visitation every other month from before, when she tried to cut me off, too. I'm still their legal grandmother. You want to see them again? Come with me on my next visit. No one can stop us." I blinked, uncertain if this was even legal, but Cheryl spoke with conviction. She had already fought that battle. "You'd do that?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I should have done more years ago," she replied. "Maybe if I had, my daughter wouldn't be this cruel." 2 weeks later, we boarded a plane back to Colorado, not to Brittany's house. Cheryl arranged the kids' pickup at a public location, a library parking lot, marking the beginning of her visitation. As we approached, the children spotted us and erupted in joyful screams of, "Mimi! Pop!" They charged towards us, their little legs racing. Ellie clung to my neck, tears streaming down her cheeks, while Liam wrapped himself around Dennis's waist. The overwhelming rush of emotions made it difficult to breathe, not from sadness, but from the sheer magnitude of how much I had missed them. We spent the day indulging them with ice cream, strolling through the park, and enjoying the swings. I read the Silly Bear story twice, and throughout our time together, they didn't ask about their parents. They were simply thrilled to be with us. We kept the visit brief, only a couple of hours, so Cheryl could adhere to her custody terms. She assured us that she would include us in every future visit. And after explaining to Brittany that we had run into each other, things escalated. Brittany lost it over text, but she couldn't stop Cheryl. The law was on her side. The following day brought another letter in the mail, this time from a lawyer. It was not an official legal document, but a threatening message from Brittany, demanding that we cease all contact with the children or face further actions. I promptly forwarded it to Cheryl's lawyer, who already had a record of Brittany's previous custody attempts and visitation interferences. This was where the tide began to turn, not with shouting or confrontation, but through the slow unfolding of real-life consequences. Cheryl filed for extended visitation rights, citing emotional alienation. She submitted copies of Brittany's Facebook post, the narrative of us being just the help, our letter, and Brittany's threatening correspondence. I provided a sworn statement, as did Dennis and even Brittany's own cousin, who had seen the posts and confirmed that the story didn't align with the truth. The court date was set for 3 weeks later, and we watched the proceedings unfold via video call. Brittany attempted to maintain her composure, but when pressed, she snapped. She hurled insults at Cheryl, labeling us as leeches. The judge did not take kindly to her outburst. Ultimately, Cheryl was awarded joint holiday visitation rights and 1 weekend a month, with the option to delegate time to family members at her discretion, which included us. From that day forward, we were able to see the kids at least once a month. Tyler sat silently throughout the entire hearing. He neither defended us nor stood up for Brittany. He simply sat there, seemingly devoid of spine. Later that night, he texted me asking, "Why are you doing this?" I didn't reply. He sent another message, "You're tearing us apart." Still, I chose silence. Months later, I received a surprising message from an unknown number. "Is this Marianne? This is Diane from Tyler's work. I thought you should know he resigned today. There were complaints and a formal report regarding dishonesty about you doing the electrical work. It came back to bite him. Sorry if this is awkward, but I thought you deserved to know." Tyler had lost his job. Meanwhile, word of Brittany's actions circulated within her firm as well. Her post in the moms group had been screenshotted and forwarded, and one of the moms she had insulted turned out to be a senior client. The fallout cost her a promotion. The narrative of the garage grandparents morphed into a local whisper, but we didn't celebrate or revel in their misfortunes. We simply didn't feel remorse. As for me, I took a hard look at myself and asked difficult questions. Why hadn't I set boundaries sooner? Why had I continued to give when respect wasn't reciprocated? Why had I allowed someone to treat me as if I were less than family? The truth was, part of the blame lay with me. Not for what had happened, but for allowing it to continue for far too long. So I made a change. I stopped saying yes out of guilt. I ceased explaining myself to those who didn't care. I began to live for myself and for Dennis again. We continued to see the kids, still making banana bread, and Dennis even built a treehouse for Liam in Cheryl's yard. Ellie now called Cheryl Nana, and still referred to me as Mimi. We no longer spoke to Tyler, not until he showed he was ready to be a son, rather than just Brittany's puppet. The last time I caught a glimpse of her was at a distance during a school play, which Cheryl had invited us to attend. The kids had no idea their parents would be there. We stayed in the back, watching quietly. Afterward, Ellie spotted us and waved excitedly. Brittany noticed, and for the first time, she didn't utter a word. She simply stared as her daughter dashed towards us first. I won't lie, that moment felt gratifying. Because no matter what narrative Brittany attempts to weave, the truth is already inscribed in the fabric of our lives. It resides in Ellie's embrace, in Liam's drawings, and in the time we earned and the love we shared. That is the part they can never take from us.